a cold-hearted school heartthrob, had just thrown away the school beauty's carefully prepared lunch, embarrassing her once again. Then, out of nowhere, I saw comment bubbles floating in the air.
"Don't give up on him," they said.
"He just wants your exclusive affection. Even though he threw away your lunch, his heart is bleeding inside. Just comfort him, and everything will be fine." That's when it hit me. This world I lived in was actually a novel. The school beauty was controlled by the plot, destined to redeem the male lead who had lost both parents. But the male lead was strange and difficult, always saying the opposite of what he truly felt. Treating her with contempt was his way of showing love. Loving someone meant doing everything possible to be good to them, cherishing every effort they made. I bent down, picked up the lunchbox from the ground, and interrupted the apology the school beauty was about to offer. Quietly, I asked her, "If he doesn't want it, could you give your morning lunches to me from now on?" I hadn't had a proper meal in almost a year. The moment I said this, the floating comments that had been eagerly expecting a reconciliation between the two erupted in anger. Where did this pathetic loser come from? So clueless. They sneered. The female lead was about to apologize to the male lead. They were this close to making out. This close. Is this girl the reincarnation of a starving ghost, even picking up what others throw away? I ignored their insults and looked at the school beauty again, hoping she would listen. Could I have it? She blinked, looking dazed and confused for a moment, then snapped back to reality at my prompting. Flustered, she replied, but it's already dirty." I shook my head. I don't mind. For someone who'd been chronically hungry, this lunchbox was like a gourmet feast. They don't call her the school beauty, with a soft heart, for nothing. Without hesitation, she agreed. "Well, okay." I flashed her a bright smile. "Thank you." I was about to return to my seat and savor this rare delicacy when the previously silent Ethan suddenly exploded. "Emily, who gave you permission to give away my things?" He snatched the lunchbox from my hands and slammed it to the ground. Crushing it under his foot, he spat, "I despise people like you most, using petty tricks to take things that don't belong to you. Today it's lunch. Tomorrow will you be asking for money?" I lost my balance and fell awkwardly to the floor. My palm pressed down against glass shards from a classmate's broken cup. Blood flowed instantly, but I felt no pain, only heartbreak. I watched the lunchbox Ethan had destroyed, then looked up at him. His eyes bore down on me with contempt. "The male lead is so awesome," the comments gushed. "This girl shows up at the worst time, right when the leads are fighting. She's obviously trying to get the male lead's attention. Thank goodness the male lead can spot fake nice girls," they added. "Otherwise, our clueless female lead would lose her man without even knowing it." Ethan seemed to sense this praise. He looked proudly at the school beauty, waiting for her apology and explanation. But this time, she didn't indulge his bad temper. She rushed over, helped me up, then glared at Ethan. "Ethan, you've gone too far this time. Why drag others into our problems?" Her voice was firm, passionate. Ethan staggered back a step, acting as if he'd received a devastating blow. "I've gone too far," he said sadly. "Emily, you promised you'd stay by my side and be good to me forever. But now you're yelling at me, for the first time ever, and for a complete stranger." With that, he ran out of the classroom. The male lead's behavior was extreme, but only because he cared so much about the female lead. Instead of understanding, she scolded him for someone else. I couldn't imagine how hurt he must feel. It wasn't fair. The male lead saw the female lead as his only salvation, but she couldn't make her life revolve entirely around him. That's why, the story said, the female lead would die in a car accident on the college entrance exam day, looking for the male lead who'd run away. Then, she'd become his eternal lost love. After her death, the male lead would have a huge realization, living strongly with this love until he met his true match in college. Die in a car accident. I stared in shock. Instinctively, I reached for the school beauty's hand, but she was already gazing worriedly in the direction Ethan had gone. She quickly apologized to me, then hurried after him. She moved so fast I couldn't even stop her, not even with the lunchbox. I had lost my only chance at a real meal that noon, while all the other students went to eat. I sat alone in the classroom and took out a half-eaten cold bread roll from my desk. This was my food for the entire day. My family was truly deeply poor. My drunkard father had taken everything of value from our home. My mother suffered from a chronic illness. Medical treatment and medicine cost so much. I'd offered to drop out and work to ease the family burden, but my mother insisted I stay in school. She even threatened to drink pesticide and kill herself if I quit. So I scraped by, saving every penny I could. And that lunchbox this morning could have been my proper meal. Suddenly, a wave of unfairness swept over me. Tears fell, without warning. One droplet landed softly on my bread roll. A sweet voice gently called out, "Why haven't you gone to lunch?" I looked up to see the school beauty standing at the door, holding something. I hastily hid the bread roll in my desk and lied, "Oh, I couldn't figure out a problem. I wanted to solve it before going to lunch." She noticed but pretended not to. Walking toward me casually, she asked, "Which problem?" "What?" I was confused. She patiently repeated, "Which problem are you stuck on? I can help you." Her compassionate gaze rested gently on me, like a goddess taking pity on humanity. I hadn't expected her to take me seriously. Randomly, I pointed to a question. The school beauty naturally sat down across from me, took out a pen, and started writing on scratch paper. Her voice was clear and smooth, making a complex electrodynamics problem simple and vivid. As she explained, she seemed to glow completely, unlike the poor student she usually appeared to be. I suddenly remembered what the comment bubbles had said. After his parents died, the male lead's self-esteem had become sensitive and fragile. The school beauty, a rich family's daughter, pursued him, making everyone wonder what she saw in him. To protect his self-esteem, she pretended to be a poor student, deliberately getting bad grades. So when others belittled him, she could proudly say he was a hidden dragon destined for greatness someday. But was all this really worth it? I stared blankly at her focused face. The school beauty looked up and caught me staring, lost in thought. She tapped my forehead lightly with her pen. "Did you understand everything?" My scattered thoughts gathered, and I nodded eagerly. "Then explain it back to me in your own words." I made a confused sound. She explained, "It's called the Feynman learning technique. Explain what you've learned in your own words to someone else. If you can make someone with no prior knowledge understand, it means you truly understand and have mastered it." I nodded and did as she asked. 5 minutes later, I perfectly explained the electrodynamics problem in my own words. The school beauty nodded with satisfaction. "Looks like you really do understand." I felt relieved, thinking she would finally leave. But instead, she picked up her bag from the floor and took out 2 still warm containers of Yangzhou fried rice. "Now, let's have lunch together," she said. "Consider it an apology for this morning." Hearing this, my nose tingled. I looked at her through tear-filled eyes and asked impulsively, "Is this really worth it to you?" She paused as she opened the container, looking up in confusion. I sniffled and said clearly, one word at a time, "You, Emily Chin, you have a good family. You're talented, and you're beautiful. Yet for Ethan, you keep lowering yourself, yelling and scraping before him, even hiding your true grades and deliberately failing. You should be having your own brilliant, shining you. Why revolve around a moody, self-centered, selfish person?" Emily's hand froze midair, the container of fried rice half opened. Steam curled lazily into the classroom air like unspoken secrets. Her eyes widened, those deep almond-shaped pools that had captivated the entire school, now fixed on me with a mix of shock and something softer, like dawn breaking through storm clouds. The floating comment bubbles, those pesky little ghosts haunting my vision, exploded in a frenzy. Whoa. Plot twist. Is this side character spilling the beans? The female lead's secret identity revealed? But wait, isn't this girl just a hungry extra? The starving ghost strikes again, trying to steal the female lead now. Bold move, loser. I ignored them, heart pounding like a drum in a too-quiet room. The words had tumbled out, raw and unfiltered, born from the ache of watching her dim her light for someone who didn't deserve it. Emily set the container down slowly, her elegant fingers trembling just a fraction. How do you know all that?" she whispered, her voice a fragile thread. I swallowed, throat dry despite the tantalizing aroma of rice. I just see things differently. Like really see them. I couldn't tell her about the comments, the novel's cruel script. Not yet, that would sound insane. Instead, I reached across the table, my bandaged hand brushing hers by accident. A spark jumped between us, static electricity or something more. Her skin was warm, soft, like silk forgotten in the sun. She didn't pull away. Instead, she turned her palm up, clasping my fingers gently. "You're right," she admitted, gaze dropping to our joined hands. "It's exhausting. Pretending to be less than I am, chasing someone who pushes me away just to pull me back. But he's broken, you know? I thought I could fix him. Her laugh was bitter, laced with humor that didn't reach her eyes. Like some fairy tale princess with a toolbox. I squeezed her hand, feeling bold. You don't need to fix anyone. Especially not at the cost of yourself. Imagine what you could do if you shone for real, top of the class, queen of the school, living your life without apologies. My voice cracked a little, then I added with a wry smile, and hey, if you're handing out fried rice, I'd gladly be your loyal subject. She chuckled, a real one this time, light and melodic. The comments grumbled. EW, is this turning into a girl crush subplot? Stick to the script. But Emily leaned in, her breath mingling with mine over the food. What's your name? I feel like I've seen you around, but never really seen you. Lila, I said, my name feeling new on my tongue, like a secret shared. Lila Reyes. Well, Lila Reyes, she said, popping the containers open fully. Let's eat. And maybe talk more? About shining and stuff. We ate in companionable silence at first, broken by her funny stories about Ethan's dramatic exits, like the time he stormed off because she complimented another guy's tie. I laughed until my sides hurt, warmth from the food and her company filling spaces I didn't know were empty. When the bell rang for afternoon classes, she slipped me her number on a napkin. Text me if you get stuck on another problem. Or anything. Walking home that evening, my stomach full for the first time in ages, I couldn't shake the fluttering in my chest. The comments mocked. Pathetic. She's just pitying the poor girl. But deep down, I knew this was the start of derailing the plot, and maybe, just maybe, writing our own story. The next morning, the school buzzed with rumors. Ethan had apparently sulked all night, posting cryptic messages on social media about betrayal and lost trust. The floating comments ate it up. Our poor male lead.
Heartbroken again.
Female lead. Go comfort him. But Emily didn't. Instead, she sought me out in the hallway, her designer bag slung casually over one shoulder, hiding her wealth beneath thrift store chic. Lila, she called, waving with a grin that lit up the dim corridor. Heads turned, the school beauty acknowledging the invisible girl. Scandalous. I froze, my worn backpack suddenly heavy. Hey, I mumbled. She linked her arm through mine like we'd been friends forever. Walk with me? I brought extra breakfast. Blueberry muffins, homemade. The comments erupted. What is this? Charity hour? Get back to the romance, Emily. As we strolled, she confessed more. Last night, I thought about what you said. About revolving around him. It's like, I've been orbiting a black hole, getting sucked in. Her voice dropped, vulnerable. My parents expect me to be perfect, but with Ethan, I could be flawed. Or so I thought. I nodded, heart aching for her. Flawed is fine. But you deserve someone who sees your stars, not just your shadows. We shared a muffin, crumbs falling like confetti. She laughed when I accidentally smeared blueberry on my nose. Cute, she teased, wiping it off with her thumb. The touch lingered, electric. Ethan appeared then, blocking our path like a storm cloud. Emily, we need to talk. His eyes flicked to me with disdain. Alone. She hesitated, then straightened. Later, Ethan. I'm busy. She tugged me away, leaving him stunned. The comments wailed, no. Reconciliation denied. Who's this interloper? In class, notes passed between us. Silly doodles of Ethan as a dramatic prince, me as a muffin knight. Laughter bubbled up, deep and freeing. By lunch, we ate together again, her stories turning romantic in their honesty, dreams of travel, art, a life unbound. I shared my own, simple wishes for stability, but she made them sound epic. You're stronger than you know, Lila, she said, eyes sparkling. That night, texts flew. Memes, confessions, late-night musings. The plot was cracking, and something beautiful was emerging from the fissures. The library became our sanctuary. Amid dusty shelves and whispered pages, Emily tutored me, not just in physics, but in life. Feynman again, she'd say, making me explain concepts back, her praise like honey. But it was the off-topic chats that deepened us, her hidden paintings, my secret poems scribbled on napkins. One rainy afternoon, thunder rumbling overhead, she leaned close over a book. Lila, why do you always seem hungry? Not just for food. Her hand covered mine, warm against the chill. I confessed then, my family struggles, skipped meals, the weight of survival. Tears came, but she held me, her embrace a fortress. You're not alone anymore, she murmured. The comment sneered. Boo-hoo, sob story alert. This is derailing the novel. Ethan tried interrupting, bursting in with flowers. Emily, forgive me? She waved him off. Not now. He left in a huff, and we giggled like conspirators. As the rain softened, she kissed my cheek goodbye, platonic, yet charged. See you tomorrow, my muffin knight. Romantic tension simmered, deep and unspoken, making every glance a promise. School festival time, booths, games, chaos. Ethan planned a grand gesture, a serenade for Emily. The comments hyped it. Finally, reconciliation arc. But Emily dragged me to help with her art booth instead. We painted murals together, hands brushing in colors, red for passion, blue for depth. This is us, she said, blending hues. Funny mishaps followed. I spilled paint on her shirt, sparking a water fight and laughter echoing into the evening. Ethan's serenade? Off-key and ignored. Emily asked, "Dance with me?" during the bonfire. We swayed under stars, her head resting on my shoulder. "This feels right," she whispered. The comments raged. Yuri vibes? Abort. Abort. Ethan confronted us, jealous. What's this? Emily stood firm. Friendship. And more. He stormed off. We didn't care. Romance bloomed in stolen glances, deep conversations turning flirty. That night, after the festival lights faded and the school grounds grew silent, Emily invited me over for what she called a study sleepover. I hesitated, my home a world away from hers, with creaky floors and an empty fridge, but she insisted, eyes sparkling with mischief and sincerity. Come on, Lila. We'll bake cookies and pretend we're in a rom-com. How could I say no? Her house was nothing like the modest facade she projected at school. Tucked in a gated community, a sprawling villa with marble floors and chandeliers that twinkled like captured stars. She downplayed it, leading me to her room, a cozy haven filled with hidden canvases of her artwork, vibrant abstracts that screamed suppressed passion. Don't mind the mess, she said, kicking aside a pile of sketchbooks. Artistic chaos, right? We started baking, or at least trying. Emily measured flour with the precision of a scientist, but I, in my excitement, accidentally dumped twice the sugar. Whoops, I giggled. She burst out laughing, cheeks flushing pink. Sweet disaster incoming. The kitchen filled with the scent of burning edges as we salvaged what we could, ending up with lopsided cookies tasting like heaven despite their flaws. We fed each other bites, crumbs sticking to our lips, every touch charged, like static before a storm. As the clock ticked past midnight, we sprawled across her bed, surrounded by textbooks we'd barely touched. The conversation turned deep, as it always did with her. Lila, why do you fight so hard? Emily asked softly, the lamplight casting shadows across her face. With your family, school, everything. I opened up more than I ever had, about my father's endless benders, how he'd pawned our TV for booze, leaving Mom and me in silence broken only by her coughs. The medical bills piled up like accusations, my skipped meals leaving me hollow. Tears came unbidden, hot and salty, but Emily didn't flinch. She pulled me into her arms, her heartbeat steady against mine. You're not fighting alone anymore, she whispered, fingers tracing soothing circles on my back. Let me help carry it. The floating comments hovered like judgmental fireflies. Pity party? This is supposed to be about Ethan. Get back to the angst. I ignored them, lost in her warmth. We shared funny stories to lighten the mood, her imitating Ethan's dramatic sighs, me recounting the time I tried to cook ramen with just hot tap water. Laughter echoed off the walls, turning vulnerability into strength. Then, as the moon filtered through her curtains, she cupped my face gently. Lila, I think I'm falling for you. Not as a friend. More. Her eyes searched mine, vulnerable and hopeful. My heart raced, a mix of fear and joy. Me too, I breathed. Our lips met, soft and tentative at first, then deepening into something electric. It tasted like burnt cookies and promises, romantic in its imperfection. We pulled back, breathless, and she grinned shyly. Was that okay? I nodded, pulling her closer. The comments exploded. Yuri alert. Plot officially hijacked. But kinda ship it? We cuddled under the blankets, whispering dreams until sleep claimed us. That night, the world felt rewritten. Not by some cruel novel, but by us. Monday hit like a whirlwind. Whispers followed us down the hallways. Ethan had been busy, spreading rumors that I was a desperate gold digger, leeching off Emily's kindness. She's using her for free meals, he sneered to anyone who'd listen. The floating comments lapped it up. Yes. Drama. Protect the male lead from this schemer. It stung, but Emily's hand in mine as we walked to class made it bearable. In the cafeteria, it boiled over. Ethan sauntered up to our table, entourage in tow, flashing that smug grin. Emily, babe, you can't seriously be hanging with that. He gestured at me like I was yesterday's trash. The room hushed, eyes on us. Emily's fork clattered down. She stood, fire in her eyes, a side of her I'd only glimpsed. That? Her name is Lila, and she's more real than you'll ever be, Ethan. Stop spreading lies just because you're jealous. Gasps rippled through the crowd. He faltered, his dramatic facade cracking. Jealous? Of her?
Please.
You're just confused. She stepped closer, voice steady and passionate.
No, Ethan.
I'm clear for the first time. You've pushed and pulled me for years, making me dim myself. Lila, she lifts me up. She turned to me, her smile soft amid the tension. Let's go. We escaped to the rooftop, our secret spot with its view of the city skyline. Adrenaline still buzzing. Emily paced, then laughed. A deep, freeing sound. Did you see his face? Like a kicked puppy. I joined in, the absurdity hitting us. Yeah, but a puppy who'd bite back. We should prank him. Nothing mean, just funny. That's how we ended up TPing his locker that afternoon. Sneaking through halls like spies, we draped it in toilet paper streamers, adding doodles of him as a cartoon villain. For the drama king, Emily whispered, stifling giggles. The comments grumbled. Vandalism? This is getting out of hand. Where's the redemption? But as we hid around the corner, watching him discover it and sputter in rage, our laughter bonded us deeper. Back on the rooftop, the mood shifted romantic. Sunset painted the sky in pinks and oranges as she pulled me into a kiss, fierce, claiming. He doesn't get it, she murmured against my lips. But I do. You're my light. We talked for hours, about jealousy as a mirror to insecurity, how Ethan's shadows had eclipsed her own growth. No more hiding, she vowed. I shared my fears too, that I'd drag her down with my poverty. Never, she said, intertwining our fingers. We rise together. That night, texts flew, flirty memes, deep confessions. Jealousy had tried to shadow us, but it only made our bond shine brighter. Exams loomed like storm clouds, the plot's deadly twist whispering in my mind, Emily's fated car accident while chasing Ethan. I couldn't let it happen. Subtly, I warned her over late-night calls. Promise me, no matter what, you won't run after anyone on exam day. Stay safe. She laughed it off at first. You're such a worrier, Lila. But okay, pinky swear. We turned studying into an adventure. Her room became our fortress, piled with notes and snacks she'd sneak in, fruits, sandwiches, things I hadn't tasted in months. Fuel for the brain, she'd say with a wink. But distractions were inevitable, tickle fights erupting mid-equation, me squealing as her fingers danced over my sides. Mercy, I begged, collapsing in giggles. She pinned me playfully, her hair cascading like a curtain. Only if you kiss me. Deep moments wove through the fun. One evening, as rain pattered against the window, she confessed her exam anxieties. What if I shine too bright now? My parents expect perfection, but I've hidden so long. I held her, stroking her back. You've always been brilliant. This is your time. We practiced the Feynman technique on tough problems, her explanations turning complexity into poetry. Ethan, true to form, staged a dramatic runaway the night before exams, texting Emily cryptic goodbyes. The comments urged, go get him, female lead. Heart-wrenching reunion. But she didn't budge. Not this time, she told me over the phone. I'm staying put with you. Exam day dawned crisp. We met at school, her hand squeezing mine for luck. No chases, no accidents. She aced every paper, her true genius unleashed, while I scraped by with her help. Afterward, we celebrated with a picnic under blooming cherry blossoms, stolen from the school garden in a funny heist. Petals fell like confetti as we fed each other strawberries. Lila, I love you, she said suddenly, eyes deep pools of emotion. My heart swelled. I love you too. Our kiss was romantic poetry, sealing the derailment. The plot's edge had been blunted, We were forging our own path. Summer break arrived like a long-awaited exhale. Emily surprised me with a road trip plan. Beach getaway, just us. No drama, no Ethan. Her family owned a coastal cabin, but she framed it as a budget adventure to ease my pride. We packed her old car with snacks, playlists, and dreams, hitting the road at dawn. The drive was a comedy of errors. First, the GPS glitched, landing us in a quirky town with a giant rubber duck statue. Photo op, Emily declared, posing dramatically. We snapped silly selfies, her laughter infectious. Then the car sputtered, low on gas in the middle of nowhere. Adventure mode, I joked, pushing it to a station, sweating and giggling. At the beach, freedom unfurled. We built sandcastles that collapsed hilariously, chased waves like kids, and danced to buskers' music under the pier. Deep talks came at sunset. Her aspirations for art school, my hopes for a stable job to support Mom. We'll make it work, she promised, head on my shoulder. Together. Romantic nights by bonfires, roasting marshmallows, sharing stories of first crushes, hers on a fictional character, mine on a kind teacher. One evening, as stars emerged, she pulled me into the surf for a midnight swim. Water lapped at our skin, her kisses salty and passionate. This is us, endless like the ocean, she whispered. Ethan texted apologies midway, grand gestures of change. Emily blocked him mid-sentence. Old chapter closed, she said. Comments wavered. Yuri romance blooming? Fine, it's cute. Our escape deepened our love, turning summer into a canvas of memories. Back home, reality beckoned, meeting families. Emily insisted on visiting mine first. I want to know all of you, she said. My heart raced as we approached our rundown apartment, but she squeezed my hand. It's perfect because it's yours. Mom greeted us weakly from the couch, illness evident, but her eyes lit up at Emily's warmth. Such a lovely girl, she murmured. Dad, sober for once, cracked awkward jokes. So, you're the one stealing my daughter's heart? Better treat her right, or face the dad glare. We all laughed, tension easing. Emily brought groceries, essentials we'd lacked, and helped cook a simple meal, her grace turning it gourmet. Deep conversations followed, Mom sharing stories of her youth, Emily listening intently, tears in her eyes. You're so strong, Mrs. Reyes. It healed old wounds, making me see my family through fresh eyes. Then her turn. Her parents' mansion intimidated, but they welcomed me warmly. Any friend of Emily's, her mom said, though her dad eyed my worn clothes. Emily beamed proudly. Lila's grounded me. Dinner was fancy, but funny, me fumbling utensils. Emily mimicking to make me laugh. Stargazing on her balcony, promises whispered. Families blend, she said. Our ties strengthened, weaving us tighter. Fall arrived with Ethan's so-called grand return. Therapy stories in tow, gifts for Emily tucked behind his smug grin. Flowers appeared at her locker, notes pleading for forgiveness. The floating comments cheered loudly. Redemption arc. Win her back. But Emily stood unmoved. Too late, she told him in the hall, me by her side. Ethan tripped over his words and literally stumbled on a loose tile. We stifled laughs as he fled, cheeks flaming. Confrontations escalated. He cornered her after class. I get it now, I was toxic. Give me another chance. She stood firm. I'm happy with Lila. Move on. Deep closure followed. You taught me what I don't want. One rainy afternoon in the park, her whispered I love you sealed our victory. The comments relented. Okay, she's chosen. Yuri endgame. With exams behind us and the plot's shadows fading, Emily finally stepped into her full light. No more hiding her brilliance or feigning failure. She aced every test, her name climbing the class rankings like a star reclaiming the night sky. Whispers spread. Emily Chen. The school beauty was a brainiac all along? Ethan sulked in the corners, dramatic sighs ignored. The floating comments grumbled in confusion. Wait. Female lead powering up. But what about male lead's redemption? This is off script. Inspired by our bond and the strength we'd found together, Emily suggested on a crisp autumn afternoon as we lounged in the courtyard, leaves crunching beneath us. Let's start a club for kids like you. Underprivileged, overlooked. Tutoring, art workshops, something to make them shine too. My heart swelled. It was perfect, a way to give back what she'd given me. We named it Bright Sparks. Soon, we were recruiting members, turning an unused classroom into a vibrant hub. The The first sessions were chaotic fun. Emily led art classes, her hidden talent exploding in colors, teaching kids to paint their dreams. I handled math and science tutoring, using the Feynman technique she taught me. Explain it like you're telling a story, I'd say, watching their eyes light up as concepts clicked. Not everything went smoothly. Our inaugural bake sale? Comedy of errors. We aimed for cupcakes to fun supplies, but Emily, in her enthusiasm, misread the recipe and doubled the baking powder. Boom, went the oven, spewing frothy batter like a volcano. Kids screamed in delight, and we ended up with explosion muffins, crispy outside, gooey inside. Tastes like adventure, one little girl declared. Somehow, we sold out, laughing until our stomachs hurt. The comments mocked. Bake sale fail? These girls are turning the novel into a sitcom. Where's the angst? But deeper than the laughs was the impact. Seeing those kids, some from homes like mine with empty pantries and heavy burdens, blossom under our guidance mirrored our own growth. One boy, shy and struggling with reading, painted a mural of a phoenix rising, inspired by Emily's stories of rebirth. "You're the phoenix too," she told him, voice thick with emotion. It healed parts of me, too. Tutoring reminded me of my worth beyond survival. Emily and I stole quiet moments amid the chaos, a quick hand squeeze during sessions, a whispered "I love you" as we cleaned up paint splatters. Romance wove through it all. It culminated in our 1-year anniversary since that fateful lunchbox day. Emily blindfolded me after club, leading me to the rooftop. Under twinkling fairy lights she'd strung up, an easel held a portrait of us. Me with my bright smile, her glowing beside me, colors blending like our lives. "Our shine," she said, unveiling it with a flourish. Tears pricked my eyes as I pulled her into a kiss, deep and lingering. The city lights below us like a sea of stars. "You've made me brighter," I murmured. The comments begrudgingly admitted. "Okay, fine. Yuri Glow Up is better than the original plot. Ship it." The club grew, drawing attention from teachers and even local news. Ethan tried crashing a session once, bouquet in hand, helping Emily. She politely shooed him away. "This is our space," she said firmly. As winter approached, Bright Sparks became more than a club. It was our legacy, a testament to love's power to illuminate the darkest corners. College acceptance letters arrived like harbingers of a new era. Both of us got into the same prestigious university, together, no strings of fate pulling us apart. No car accidents, no tragic losses. The novel's cruel script had been rewritten. Our futures intertwined like vines climbing toward the sun. "We did it," Emily whispered as we opened envelopes side by side in her room, jumping into each other's arms with squeals of joy. The floating comments flickered weakly. Endgame without drama? Boring but kinda wholesome? Life after high school blurred into a whirlwind. Packing dorm essentials, planning our shared apartment off campus, her parents insisted on helping, easing my financial worries without making it feel like charity. We spent lazy summer days exploring the city, hand in hand. Visiting museums where Emily analyzed art with passion, or street fairs where I'd haggle for trinkets, turning bargaining into a flirty game. "You're ruthless," she teased, laughing as I scored a vintage necklace for her. Funny mishaps abounded. Like the time we tried camping in her backyard and our tent collapsed in a midnight rainstorm, leaving us drenched and giggling under a tarp. "Romantic disaster," I joked as she pulled me close for warmth, our kisses tasting of rain and adventure. Deeper threads wove through our days. Emily pursued art and physics, blending creativity with science. I studied social work, inspired by Bright Sparks to help families like mine. "We'll change the world," she said during late-night talks, her head on my lap as I braided her hair. Challenges came too. My mom's health dipped, but Emily was there, driving us to appointments, holding my hand through worries. "We're a team," she reminded me, her support a quiet romance that deepened our bond. The pinnacle was our farewell picnic, echoing that first shared lunch. We returned to the school courtyard, now empty for summer, spreading a blanket under the stars with containers of Yangzhou fried rice, homemade this time. No dirt or drama. Fireflies danced around us as we ate, reminiscing. The lunchbox incident, our first kiss, the club's explosions. Was it all worth it? I asked softly, tracing her face in the moonlight. She set down her chopsticks, cupping my cheeks gently. "Every moment, every orbit around you." Her kiss was deep, passionate, a seal on our story, funny in its rice-scented sweetness, romantic in its eternal promise. As we lay back, stargazing, she pointed out constellations.
See?
We're like binary stars, always pulling each other, shining brighter together. The comments, those persistent bubbles, finally faded into nothingness. As if the novel had accepted its rewrite. No more judgments, no forced plots. Our story was ours. Deep in vulnerability and growth, funny in joyful chaos, romantic in unwavering love, eternal, like the orbits we traced in each other's hearts.